So I decided to do something dumb. One of the sub-goals met for my May subathon, with another subathon just around the corner starting September 5th, check out the announcement on my second channel, link in description, was to attempt Sonic Project 06's Wave Ocean, Blindfolded. I have zero experience doing any sort of challenge like this, but have seen others accomplish a similar feat in other games. Seriously, check out Bubzia's showcase from SGDQ 2024 when you get the chance, it's amazing. And with my 4 years of experience speedrunning Sonic 06's fan remake, I was confident I could stumble through it with some amount of competency. I was very wrong. What you're about to witness is my first attempt playing through a video game blindfolded. There were no strategies developed beforehand, no practice, no nothing. I know the internet likes suffering, so I wanted my first experience with it to be as pure as possible. With that, let me take you through the story of completing the world's first P-06 blindfolded challenge. Thankfully, the beginning of the stage to its first checkpoint is completely automated, so I get a bit of a freebie not having to actually guide Sonic through the water sliding section and instead get to let the game do all the work. Once on the island, it's fairly simple as well, as all I have to do is run forward and go slightly to the left to hit the dash panels into the next loop and water sliding section. You're gonna see me use the blue gem a lot throughout this run. Project 06 has very few tools to decipher where you are without vision, and the Jolly Rancher flavor nobody likes, fight me, has one key attribute, other than dashing Sonic forward, of course. If I'm up against a steep enough wall, the gem won't activate. This doesn't seem like a huge boon at first, since Sonic's footsteps make sound, but with the music and other sound effects like waves and enemies, the tiptoe noises can get drowned out. So this is a more concrete way to know for sure if I'm up against something, most of the time. To help the player not dash off into the water, Soleano's Resort has a bunch of short, invisible walls that block Sonic from doing just that. The problem comes in where the walls still allow him to run and blue gem against them though, even if he's not moving forward. This quirk is great for the speedrun, but not so much for this challenge. I'm able to know if I'm up against one of these since Sonic will splash the water, but have little guidance for what direction he's facing or if I'm sliding right or left on it. This is where our first roadblock rears its head, grabbing the checkpoint before the lighthouse. Just one of the many instances where things got deceptively difficult. The water slide thankfully spits Sonic out onto the pole swing, and if I time it right, luckily the sound effect lines up with a successful swing so I was able to get it relatively often, Sonic will land on a platform with some grass. This is where I noticed the next thing. Sand and grass had different footstep sounds, for in the event I fell off, I could somewhat figure out if I had gone the wrong way since the grass turned into the beach on my right. But here's where things started getting rough. Slowly but surely, I realized how easy it was to lose my sense of direction. Even with the tools like recentering the camera, if I did too many actions at once, I would have no clue where Sonic was. Basically just a long way of saying that if I didn't get the jump over to the platform with the checkpoint on it, I'd be screwed. Generally, I wanted to take the shortest way possible to the next segment if I could, because that way I have to learn the least, as more moves means more opportunities to mess up. The main thing I was scared of is homing attacking the springs to activate the chain jump sequence, as that would mean I missed the checkpoint and have to remember more moves to try to make it to the next one, which wasn't for a while. After what was about 6 minutes, but felt like forever, I was able to pass through the Miracle Gate through sheer luck, bringing us to the next section. There was no simple way to do this, despite how easy the segment looks. I know Wave Ocean's level design like the back of my hand, and this small part showcases what's coming when the level broadens out more. This next section was admittedly a frustrating one. My first thought was to try to light dash to the Rainbow Ring shortcut since the activation for the skill is super generous, which would just take me to the rail and allegedly onto the dash panel for the boardwalk. Quick tangent, because I know a non-zero amount of people are gonna look at what just happened and say, oh, wow, the fixed 06 still has glitches. Video games aren't perfect. No matter how much fine-tuning one gets, there are gonna be impurities. Especially as someone who pushes P-06 to its limits all the time through speedrunning and challenges, it's natural for stuff like this to get uncovered from time to time. While fully created by a team of people, about 80% of Project 06's gameplay has been created by one man, for free, self-taught, in his bedroom, and is still insanely high quality despite that, in a demo. Chaos has learned so much over the years developing this game, and has endured so much from the naysayers claiming that 06 can't be fixed. There's no reason to add fuel to that fire, because it can lead to what I believe are overcorrections sometimes just to quiet those voices down and distract from the focus of truly wanting to deliver a great product. And to clarify, these are my words as an observer. I'm not speaking for anyone else. I can confidently say to you that if you're picking up P-06 for the first time with its current release, you are extremely unlikely to find any game-breaking or even annoying bugs. And even then, the game has an incredibly generous checkpoint system and 6 seconds of invincibility frames if something wild does happen. And if it does, there's no reason to be rude about it to Chaos. The best way to address it is to post your findings in the P-06 speedrunning Discord server. Even even if you aren't a speedrunner, it's open to everyone and the findings can be helpful, and maybe even stay implemented as features like the double homing attack was. The link to that server is in the description. Back on topic, because the rail doesn't launch Sonic perfectly into the dash panel, I have to learn how to land on the boardwalk manually. This is where I break from the rule of following the shortest path and instead taking the automation that happens when Sonic stays on the rail from the lighthouse. It's much longer, but we're going for completion, not speed. This way, I can spend more time attempting the thing I actually need to progress rather than messing up getting there over and over again. And oh man, do I wish other parts of the stage had this option. While I somewhat quickly found a way to land on the boardwalk, I did not foresee what would happen next. Side note, in order to check whether or not I had the blue gem equipped, since equipping any of them, including none, had the same sound, I would go over one and try to use the red gem, since it doesn't affect anything gameplay-wise, to know that if it was used, I could go on over and guarantee I was on blue. So the red gem has a use! Yay! I can't wait for the last release where it's buffed to work more like retail. It really needs it. Well, that's the hope anyway. Chaos has told me that the red gem's giving him some trouble, but he is still working on it. For the gates you need to spin dash or spin kick to get through, there's a little spot on either side where you can stand without going under it, but the spin kick's hitbox is big enough to still activate the gate. So for a minute, I had no idea what was happening, and thought that somehow Sonic was turning around and just going back and forth through it.
Does Sonic keep turning around when he goes through the gate?
And through dumb luck, I made it onto the beach and brute forced my way across it, missing that all too important checkpoint. Now, I want to put you in my shoes for a moment. This is how I experienced this segment.
I hear the guillotine. Okay, I know where I am. It's to my right. That's fine.
The Vulcan cannon shots don't hurt individually, but they'll cut down my rings bit by bit. If I find the one issuing orders and defeat him, I can defeat everyone at once.
Got any clue where I am in this section? If you do, gold star to you because you're better than me. From my POV, I somehow ended up near the end with the guillotine. That's the best approximation I have of how tough it is to know where you are without practicing ahead of time. Now, I guessed correctly in thinking the guillotine in front of me was the one before the whale section, but that didn't last. The sound of my jump dashing drowned out the sound of the guillotine enough so I didn't hear when I passed it. Additionally, in my brain, the sound of the enemies behind me made a similar sound to the enemies near the beginning of the beach segment. So I was super discombobulated, thinking now that I was at the guillotine at the beginning of the section, and ended up making a guess. Do I risk jump dashing forward and possibly landing in the water? Because I missed the checkpoint, so I would go all the way back to the one before the lighthouse. Or do I turn around and land safely? I chose the latter option, which obviously was a massive mistake, leading to a death and sending me all the way back to the lighthouse checkpoint anyway. With vision and a whole heaping of hindsight, I could have approached this in a multitude of different ways. I could have walked around a bit to notice I was on rock, which made a different sound to grass and sand. I could have just tried homing attacking because one jump dash low to the ground wouldn't have hurt even where I thought I was. I could have waited longer listening to the sounds more closely, but I decided to recklessly make a choice due to my inexperience, which makes this guy a certified dumbass. And oh boy, I would not get this lucky again for quite a while. So we begin the segment again. To save you the trouble, I still didn't really develop a strategy because I had a bad case of the confirmation bias, so I just brute forced it. A hilarious thing happened though. I managed to go in a giant circle around the section and ended up hitting the checkpoint.
Is there actually a checkpoint there? I hear the guillotines to my left. Did I somehow make my way all the way back here? Oh god, I hope that's true. That's hilarious.
This had me super confused because I didn't realize that the checkpoint is down here on the beach in Sonic's Wave Ocean and on the boardwalk in Tails' Wave Ocean. Oops. Anywho, after a bunch of fumbling around, the magic moment finally happened. But oh, did I severely estimate I severely estimated it. But oh, did I severely underestimate what was to come. It took 50 minutes to get to this point before the whale section, and once I got there, I said this.
We're almost to Mach speed. I feel like Mach speed will just be super easy once we get there. Like the hard part's over, I think.
I've never seen someone be so wrong about two different things that quickly. This segment was absolutely brutal. Since Tails has to save Sonic within a time limit before the whale goes through the gate he has to go through anyway to get to Mach speed. Seriously, this doesn't make any sense. If Sonic goes through the gate with the whale, he dies, but if the gate closes, he gets flung to Mach speed? It's the same direction, and I fully believe he could make the distance regardless. And don't give me that, oh, it's so the whale can't get out. Look where he's kept. He can easily escape. We know Soliana security is garbage.
Incorrect. Whoa! Correct.
Anyway, from what I presume is because Tails is on a time limit, there are no checkpoints in his section. The whole thing has to be done in one shot. So I had a decision to make. In the speedrun, we're able to take full advantage of Tails' flight mechanics to lengthen his airtime by feathering the button to go all the way from where he starts to the area with the switch on it. I do this all the time in speedruns, but blindfolded, it's a different beast. Or I can choose to play the section the normal way. I chose the former. Not only was it something I was more comfortable with, but it adheres to the rule of taking the shorter path so I have less to learn. And the trick is not actually as tight as it looks, but it's still tough, make no mistake. I have to fully restart the section if I die anyway, because like I said, there aren't any checkpoints, so it would just be more work overall. And thus the pain began trying to figure out how to reliably do this without being able to see, with every failure costing 30 extra seconds just to get back to the fox's part. I've said before that I've done this trick so many times I could do it blindfolded, and it turns out I was right. 1 in every 20 tries maybe. Initially I was holding left for way too long. Then I was feathering way too fast so I wouldn't have enough meter to get to the other side. I would make it to the beach sometimes, but no matter how many tries I did, I never got consistent at it. But even when I landed on those white sands, oh boy. My main method of gaining spatial awareness with Tails was his dummy rings, but they were not always reliable. Additionally, the switch is such a small target and it's immune to activation by dummy ring. Come on, just activate! So yeah, I gotta get Tails right on top of it. With no automation, it's so easy to get disoriented and fly into the ocean, or take so long the failure cutscene would activate, and I didn't get that many tries because I still had to make it to the island. Even more aggravating, especially for the chat, is that there were times where I was really close, but just didn't quite hit it. This was a monster that I wasn't prepared for. Eventually, I had to call it a day to record the original 06 versus P-06 Sonic race with Nick867. Hey, that became a main channel video too. So on to the following stream, we started again.
I have to be able to see the best I can, so we're gonna go ahead and... There we go. All right. All is right in the world.
And even with my glasses on, I still had no luck. So I looked to other options. Through the challenge up to this point, I had not taken any advice from chat, nor looked at my footage to see what was going on. I wanted this to be truly blind. Unfortunately, that just couldn't stick anymore as this section was ballooning into a real slog. So first I talked to chat and tried to develop a strategy for getting onto the island. It ended up working for a little bit. I was getting there more consistently, but still missing the switch. Then, a while after, I decided to look at the game tape, which sadly only made things worse. The main reason I didn't want to do either of these things was that I knew I would get too much in my own head about it, and that's exactly what happened. I only landed on the island once after that point. So I called in some help. My wonderful partner Haley took a few minutes to direct me to the switch. She isn't familiar with the game though, so it was an ironic twist of the blind leading the literal blind. But I still had to make it to the island myself, which with my newfound motivation I was able to do rather quickly. Then, barring some communication issues, we've been dating for 6 years, everybody. And after 4 hours and 22 minutes since I hit the whale checkpoint, it finally happened.
Yay, you did it.
I did it?
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you!
Hey, I was still blindfolded, so it counts. Now it was Mach speed time, which should be easy, right?
This is...
While technically less complicated than the rest of the level, it brought its own set of challenges as Sonic moved on his own, bumped into everything, and had to navigate onto really narrow pathways at certain points. I was legitimately exhausted after the tail section, so I called in Haley again, but she couldn't stay for long this time as she was occupied. She was occupied with work, but I didn't want to get her in trouble. When she left, I felt so defeated, like I could never conquer this. But I found that I'm not one to give up on a good challenge, so I pressed on. I made mistakes, phased through walls, and at this point threw Sonic into the ocean so many times he's probably 100% water, but eventually...
Let's speed up.
Okay.
Yahoo!
Through Island 1.
What?
All right, no badnik bounce. I'm just gonna try running to the boardwalk. Yes. I think it's just forward and I win. It's not.
Elise!
Oh my god! Oh my god, I think this is it! Gamers! That is Wave Ocean Blindfolded! Woo!
And that was the hardest thing I've ever done in a video game. To compensate for Haley's help, I gave subs to the chat, even if they were a little overly mean near the beginning of the stage. Come on, guys, it's almost like I couldn't see! And appreciated everyone who watched live for going on the journey with me. I thought that it'd be better done as a main channel video than just a VOD on my second channel, but if you'd like me to upload the full thing, let me know. I think that this is a really good challenge to try yourself, whether you just prep a route beforehand or go in blind like I did. If anything, it'll give you a huge appreciation for the folks who do this on a regular basis. Thanks to all those that supported the May subathon to reach this goal, and don't forget that starting September 5th, I'll be doing another subathon with its own set of goals you can vote on through the Google form in the description. Thanks to Chaos-X as always for the renders of Sonic and Tails, they look just as goofy as I envisioned. And thanks to the Stelmo crew for supporting what I do through Twitch subs and liking, sharing, commenting on all the videos. Like seriously, I cannot express enough how much doing those free things on both channels, they're the best way to let me know what you guys want to see on both channels, and that it's just the best way to do it. I've got nothing else, I don't know. And last but not least, thanks to you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.